Are you ready to scream, shiver, and second-guess your life choices? Whether you're a seasoned horror junkie or just dipping your toes into the dark abyss, I've got the ultimate list for you. 1. Resident Evil 7. It could have been a disaster. A clunky, forced update to a revered series that left fans clamoring for the bombastic nonsense of Resident Evil 6. But Resident Evil 7 is a triumph, smartly feeding off the best horror movies of the last 20 years, effortlessly easing all that edgy new into a recognizable modern reinvention of the series. The central story is fantastic, the mysteries artfully concealed, and your tormentors, the bakers, are brilliantly subversive. 2. Layers of fear. Most games can make you jump, they can make you scream, but few can make you doubt yourself in real life. Layers of Fear initially appears very familiar as you explore a spooky, creepy, and cavernously empty house. The gothic story unravels slowly as you play an unnamed artist returning home.
A creature trapped in a prison of its own making.
3rd Alien. Isolation. Countless games have been inspired by elements of the Alien franchise, be it James Cameron's Space Marines, Ellen Ripley's Fortitude, or the chilling power of silence in a soundtrack. Despite all that, Isolation may be the series' greatest gaming triumph. It takes the gut-wrenching fear fostered by the lone xenomorph in the original film and extends it into a lengthy game. Isolation's tense survival gameplay keeps the pulse pounding for hours and hours. 4th, Resident Evil 2 Remake. It seems almost unimaginable that over 20 years after its original PS1 release, the classic Resident Evil 2 is back on the best horror games list. But then we are talking about Resident Evil 2 Remake, a from-the-ground-up remake of the original game that honors the past while building a future for the franchise with a game nearly 2 decades old. It's a success, and high on this list, because of how it melds old and new so perfectly. Alan Wake 2. We waited 13 long years for Alan Wake 2, and the tormented novelist's return did not disappoint. It has everything you could possibly want as a horror fan. Terrifying foes, atmospheric dread, slick third-person action, and a gnarled storyline split between its 2 protagonists that, as in the shared universe of 2019's Control, straddles temporal boundaries and constantly keeps us guessing.
Still coffee!
6. Silent Hill. 2 Remake Silent Hill, as a franchise, is home to some of the most frightening enemies and situations in gaming history. But the series' most abiding horror has seen a stunning remake in Bloober Team and Konami's Silent Hill 2. If the PS2 classic manifested our deepest fears as flesh, the 2024 remake sees those fears reborn in stunning 4K graphics to really drive the psychological horrors home. 7. Outlast offers a first-person trek through a setting literally no one in real life would willingly check out. An old asylum that seems abandoned, but also strangely very active.
No witness, and frankly, no case. I humbly request you toss out these charges and find my client not guilty.
No! She's guilty! Send her to the fucking chair!
What do you want me to say? Just tell me what you want me to say!
8. SOMA. This is a world filled with broken machines full of glitching human consciousnesses and slimy growths that expands and morph into something terrible the longer you spend exploring. 9. Dead Space 2023. 2023's Dead Space is a stunning remake of a modern survival horror classic. The Ishimura is even creepier than you'll remember it being in 2008 as you step back into the space boots of Isaac Clarke. Embarking on a mission with his crew to investigate the strange goings-on in a seemingly abandoned spaceship, things quickly go south in this monster-ridden deep space maze. Amnesia. Rebirth. Amnesia. Rebirth built on the previous games in the series to deliver a tense, playable slice of horror fiction. There's almost a literary feel to the game as you explore the darkness as Tassi, a French explorer lost in the desert. Familiar mechanics like failing sanity, eroded by the dark or looking at monsters, returns, but this time contained within a much more coherent and enticing story.
Ah!
11. Resident Evil 4. This is the series that invented modern survival horror, but that wasn't good enough for director Shinji Mikami. So in Resident Evil 4, he invented the modern third-person shooting, just for fun. Leon Kennedy's adventures in gunplay are rightly famous, the feedback-heavy combat making every situation a shaky joy.
Sorry, didn't realize that was yours.
12th. Devotion Red Candle Games' first Devotion may now be best known for its troubled release history, but it's a masterclass in environmental storytelling. Devotion does a lot of great stuff with visuals, and while it's not the most interesting game from an interactive perspective, it's a great example of how to use space in horror, on par with classics like Amnesia.
你想清楚了哦。那我们现在就去慈姑观音面前发愿。
Bloodborne, a mysterious tale of eldritch horror set in a twisted nightmare vision of Victorian Europe. Traveling down cobblestone streets amidst dark spires, you'll hear hushed conversations behind firmly locked doors.
A corpse should be left well alone. Oh, I know very well how the secrets beckon so sweetly. Only an honest death will kill you now.